What's new, guys?
What you doing?
It's Mrs. Klein,
And Mrs. Wolbrin.
and we are here with the podcast for you guys.
And we're starting this new program that we're going to be piloting with you guys. And the first chapter that we're going to be looking at is called The Lure of America. So imagine sleeping in a small bed in a cramped room on a ship bound for New York City. The sea is rough. You try to ignore how sick you feel. Instead, you think about the new life you will make in America. The main idea of this chapter is in the mid-1800s, millions of people from around the world left their homelands and moved to the United States.
Okay, and just like always, you guys, there are some vocabulary words and terms that you're going to want to be familiar with. For this particular lesson, they are emigrate with an E, immigrate with an I, push-pull factors, and then also steerage. Okay, all right, the first section is push and pull. When groups of people decide to move to a new country, they consider two types of reasons for the move. Some reasons push or encourage people to emigrate or leave their home countries. Other reasons pull or encourage people to emigrate or move into another country. Together, these reasons are known as push-pull factors.
Throughout history, crop failures, overpopulation, religious persecution, and wars have pushed people from their homelands. Immigrants usually choose to move to countries with plenty of land to farm, a better economy, and freedoms that appealed to them. For example, the Pilgrims' disagreements with the Church of England pushed them to leave England. Available land, the chance to earn a living, and the opportunity to practice their religion freely pulled them to North America. In every century that has followed, the promise of a better life has pulled immigrants to the United States from around the world.
Between 1840 and 1870, more than 7.5 million immigrants came to the United States. That's more people than the total U.S. population in 1810. Wars in Europe acted as a push factor on the people there. At the same time, the United States continued to exert pull factors on people experiencing hardships across the ocean.
Now, before we start the next section, we're going to look at this lithograph and look closely. This is an Irishman in Dublin, Ireland. He scours a poster advertising voyages to New York City in this lithograph by T.H. Maguire, titled Outward Bound. This was done sometime between 1840 and 1860. Now, what details do you notice that indicate why he might be interested in leaving Ireland? And if you want to, you could even pause this podcast and really look at the details in this because it says a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Gives a lot without actually having to read too much.
Exactly.
Being able to analyze the image. All right, you guys, the next section is called Looking for Opportunities. So as you've read, in 1848, word spread in newspapers around the world that miners had discovered gold in California. Many Chinese men emigrated from China in hopes of finding work in the American West.
Chinese men weren't the only people to immigrate to the United States or its territories to build new lives. Immigrants from Northern Europe, including Britain, Ireland, Germany, and Scandinavia, also traveled across the ocean, alone or with their families. Their journeys were often difficult. Many immigrants could only afford to travel in steerage, a small confined space between the main decks of the ship. Steerage class was an inexpensive way to travel. However, it was crowded and dark, with almost no comforts. Steerage passengers had to bring mattresses, cooking pots, and even their own food for the voyage. Travelers in steerage class also dealt with rats, lice, and fleas during their journey. Seasickness and other illnesses made the area smelly, unpleasant, and unsanitary. Disease could spread rapidly, which was a problem because any illness put immigrants at risk for rejection when they reached the United States.
Yeah, I think you had to be in good health. Otherwise, they would turn you around and put you back on the boat and send you back to where you came from. I don't know about you guys. I've been on one cruise in my life, and I was definitely not in steerage class. But I think you can appreciate how kind of the lure of the United States for people to want to endure something like that, to be able to get to a new place, to try to have a new life for themselves, because that's not something very many people, I think, want to sign up for.
Absolutely.
Okay, as new industries expanded in the northeastern United States, immigrants became an important source of labor. They arrived ready to take whatever work they could find in order to survive. The many job opportunities and the established immigrant population of large American cities encouraged many newcomers to stay in the city of their arrival. In fact, New York City had a large immigration center called Castle Garden, which accepted new immigrants into the country. Immigrants joined with others from their home countries, and they established neighborhoods where people shared similar customs and traditions and spoke the same language. These neighborhoods grew and became vibrant parts of American culture.
The United States welcomed immigrants throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. Some immigrants decided to uproot their families because they hoped for new opportunities. Others wanted to escape a bleak future or simply to feed their families.
All right, you guys, you should be able to answer a couple of these questions here. You should be able to name 2 push-pull factors that drove mass immigration in the mid-1800s. And in addition to that, be thinking about how do push factors and pull factors work together. Okay, that concludes your first podcast, you guys. Take it easy.
See ya.